Alright, so we're out here at my truck. I got it up on some ramps for some extra height. Alright, so reviewing what we did so far. So we mounted the tank onto the bracket. We put all the fittings on it. I did put this fitting on the one that I thought I was missing. And we assembled this horn bracket. We assembled that one. And we got everything ready. So I had to find some bolts. I couldn't find the ones that it said it came with, but for the compressor, but I have a set, and I have some thread locker. I'm gonna start with the air tank because that seems like that's gonna be the most pain one to get in, because I have to get these in on both sides. This goes on the outside of the frame, and that goes on the inside of the frame, and I had to do that while holding the tank up. So that's what we're gonna do first, and I'm gonna get everything up as best I can, and I'm gonna keep going even through the night. I grab my lights. I might not be able to film that, but I definitely want to keep it going. So if I do that, I'll stop filming and come back in the morning and show you how everything turned out. Tank is supposed to go in, I believe it's this hole and that hole in the frame. And the compressor goes back there. See, there's the little thingies, and the horns go on the other side. So we're gonna give this a try. I would definitely say, if you're doing this, might want somebody to help you out. Drive clearance to do. Clearance is pretty good. Ow! And I'm gonna after a couple of months, I'm gonna come back and recheck all of these bolts, make sure they're still tight. All right, that's mounted pretty good. So here is the tank mounted to the frame. It's right behind this body mount. It goes up towards this body mount with all my hoses, and these kits won't work with the Hemis, with the system that turns the cylinders off, so it really only works with the diesels. But with the diesel here, you see we've got a catalyst right here, and of course we got another one right there, right where you need to be. But it is what it is. So next we will do the compressor bracket. So compressor bracket is gonna go about right there. I believe I go through this loop here. So this saddle bracket has to go in this square hole, and then one of them comes out here. So we'll see what. Yeah, like that. Just gonna take this. I'm gonna put my hardware kind of on here so that I can reach it. And then, well, that was a bad idea. Okay. So good. Oh, are you kidding me? Nice. All right, don't do that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do then, I'm gonna do it this way. So I'm going to there we go. And then that way I can kind of pull and yank. I want to temporarily install a nut. Alright, that's a temp install. Alright. So I got some shit that might let's see. Okay, this whatever this line is, I think it's a fuel line. Okay, this one I have to get out of the frame because it's in the way. Okay. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to temporarily put a nut on the other side. Back this one off. Try to, without losing it. There we go, pull the bracket out of the way. And then pull this up. There we go, pull that push clip out of the way. Okay. The key is you want this to be level. So if I go on the slot, they say. Oh, okay, I can reach through the frame. Didn't know I could do that. I think I'm about to pull the other one, the bracket. Doesn't sit level like that. Maybe it does. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Okay, that could be it. Okay, you ask my wife, I'm just going crazy. Alright, so I gotta pull this one out too. Come on, just a little plastic push clip. There we go. That's out of the... Alright. Let me get back in the slot. There we go. Actually, no, she's pretty level. She's pretty level. Okay. Alright. As I drop everything, it's just wonderfully. Alright. So this back one you can't really hold on to. So hopefully it'll stay. Probably should have washed the truck, but to me, it's what I do. Yeah, it's level across the frame. It's just my point of reference. And this would be easier if I did it without a garbage ratchet. Or the right size. There we go. It actually might be a DEF line, not a fuel line. That's what it is. It's shrouded. It's a DEF line. So, if you... Oh yeah, that's on there. Oh yeah, she's pretty level. And a little bend in the bracket though, but that's okay. All right, let me mount the compressor. I'm making lots of dad noises over here. So they're a little, make sure you can see this. There are little rubber isolators in here. So the bolts that I got to mount this wouldn't fit through the little brass sleeves that were in it. Oh, this is... Alright, I gotta find a way to mount this DEF line out of the way, because it's right there. I'm gonna have to deal with that. There we go. Adequate clearance. Yep, alright. We are boot scoot boogieing. I mean, overall, so far, I know I'm still in the beginning of the install kind of phase. Yeah, that'll work. Make sure my clearance is still good, and I just gotta zip tie that out of the way. Probably zip tie it to its buddy. There's another one up there, I believe. Just gotta zip tie that. Push it over here. Oh, hush, oil barrel. So anyway, I'll figure something out, I guess. But I did not yet. So far, it's not too bad of an install. So Klienn themselves say, again, 8 to 12 hours for install. I know I'm still working on it, but I mean, I definitely haven't put 8 hours into it. I can tell you that right now. Now, granted, I used to work as a mechanic, and I used to work as an auto and a heavy truck mechanic, and I still work as a mechanic for aircraft engines. So I'm not mechanically inept. So I guess for a lay person, to use a term I don't like to use when it comes to maintenance, because a lay person implies someone who doesn't know, and a mechanic is always learning something. So there really is no such thing as a lay person with maintenance, because they're always updating stuff. You're always learning something. There's always new stuff. But I'm not a rube. I mean, I am a little bit. My wife would tell me I'm a rube. But, you know, I have an idea of what I'm doing. Where'd I put my tools I need for that? Right there. But yeah, I guess for a person who doesn't really work on cars that much, yeah, I could probably see 8 to 10. Or 8 to 12 is what they said, actually. Yeah, I could probably see that. These are actually pulling through that rubber a little bit. So this is going to be a real temporary solution. I mean, it's still secure. It's hard to tell with this one. That'll do. I'll have to mess around and alright, so camera died last night, so I kept on going through the night. Found some issues. One of the fittings on the T that came on the horns, which if you saw earlier in the video, I had problems taking off. It was actually cross-threaded. That's why it was a problem to take off. So I had to run to Lowe's before they closed and get a brass fitting. They didn't have the exact one that they have. They didn't have this style, which is what it is, but it's a male end instead of a female end, so it's, you know, the counterpart to this. This is a compression fitting, like slip fit compression fitting. So they didn't have that, so I got a barbed one. I've got it slipped on there. I've got it kind of temporarily on there. Hopefully it won't leak. I'm gonna get a new male compression fitting, 1/4 inch compression fitting. So the other problem I had, which really I got irritated and I was extremely frustrated with, was the 1/2 inch line. So this hose set, where'd I put it, uses 1/2 inch line from the tank to the solenoid instead of 1/4, because they're bigger horns. So the 1/2 inch, I threw it somewhere because I got mad at it. Where'd I put it? Oh, there it is. So the 1/2 inch line that they gave me was standard 1/2 inch nylon, which is extremely stiff, and it wanted to curl up like this, and actually it was tighter. I was able to unbend it a bit. So what I wanted to do, I'll show you underneath. I wanted to run it through the frame rail or the cross member, but I couldn't do that because I got it most of the way through and ran the way I wanted, because I got heat, you know, the exhaust there, so I've got a lot of heat involved, and I don't want to melt the tubing. And that happened. It crimped, and once it's crimped, you know, kinked, well, I don't trust it. So I've got it temporarily run. What I might do after I get everything kind of put together and tested, I'm going to go to Lowe's, and I might just get like rubber line that you use for like air hose, like air tanks, and that way I can do whatever fittings I want on it, and I'm able to run it wherever I want, and get it set, and it'll be soft and malleable, and I can get it up out of the way. So today I got wiring to do. I've got to find a place to mount the intake filter, the air intake filter. I'm a remote mount. I might do it in the bed, like up on a frame rail or something, or underneath a bed rail. And I've got to install the remote fill kit, so I know where I'm gonna put that. So it's a bagger for the remote fill kit, and I'm gonna put it. I'm trying to minimize how much I actually modify this truck. So I'm gonna put it. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. It's gonna go right about there, and so the connector will be, so you can have air. Now granted, the air hose that Klienn sends is very short. I don't like how short it is, but it'll work temporarily, and I can get a nice long one or a coiled one that I can make reach across the truck and reach everything. But this isn't, you know, bad quality. I mean, I might be able to get it to reach, so we'll figure it out. But I wanted to do it that way. It's out of the way. It doesn't affect passengers. I don't have to drill into the body. just drilling into a plastic cap. So I got my drill bits, my drill, I got my spare battery. So, and then it's just a normal connector. And it does have a weather cover, which I like. And it's just a cheap little chuck and a fitting. So we'll be able to do that. So that's what I'm gonna get working on here. And then I'll run that, and then I'll run electrical, and then we'll give it a test and see what happens. See if we have any leaks or anything. See what I got going on. Oh, I gotta run the air, the intake. So the intake is this guy right here. You remote mount it. That's what they want you to do. Has a filter in it. Comes with 2 spare filters. Here's the hose line for it, and associated fittings and such. So I have a bunch of spare bolts, but I think that's from the 18-19 kit. So we'll get rolling on that. There's a mount hardware for the bracket. I think there's anything else I got. So the wiring. So what I'm going to do is, it comes with a relay. So I'm going to find a place to mount the relay, and when you hook it up, you want to go, if you have 2 batteries, you want to go to the auxiliary battery, which is this one here. It's got connectors here that I can use to go off of. And then I'm going to try to mount the relay somewhere in here, maybe. If not, then I'll find another place for it. That's not a problem. Then this is the box for the auxiliary switches. These are the connectors here. I can get one off real quick. Of course, it's going to be a pain. Oh, there we go. All right, so you I don't know how well you can see it. Let's see if I can see it myself. All right, so this one, it's auxiliary 1, this one's auxiliary 2, and you just pull these covers out with needle nose, and you kind of unlock this secondary lock, and excuse me, Ram sends you a bunch of wires. I pulled 2 out. There's the wiring kit. 12 gauge, and they got these pins and these seals, and they slide right in there, and then you're able to use whatever you hook on that, those auxiliary switches. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hook the actual horn solenoid to auxiliary 1, and then I'm gonna hook the compressor to auxiliary 2 so that I can turn the compressor on and off. The compressor is going to be ignition based, so that you have to have the key on to do it. And then the horn solenoid is going to be battery, so I can hit it whenever the hell I want, as long as there's air pressure. So that's kind of on the plan. So I'm gonna start with the bracket, and I'm gonna mark it, and we're gonna drill, which I'm not a big fan of drilling into body stuff. Granted, I do it. I've done it with stuff like that, but I mean, this is an expensive truck. I don't like doing crazy stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of that. So I have a paint marker pen, and I just threw this stuff in here because it was like 2 o'clock in the morning when I stopped being frustrated and went to bed. So get my paint marker out. Now what I need to do is I need to build another garage. That's planned. That way I don't have to worry about the fact that it's 2 o'clock in the morning for like lights and stuff like that. So dye paint marker, just shake it up, and then test it if it'll work. There we go. All right, we got paint. So I try to get you in a good enough spot to kind of see what I'm doing, but also stay out of the way. And I'll show you what all I've done with this. There we go. All right. Get in a place that I like. I like that. And well, it'd be nice if it didn't move. There we go. All right. Hopefully I can get the drill in here. So there we go. There we go. Look at that. That was pretty easy. So because it's plastic, I don't have to worry about, you know, like drilling a pilot hole or nothing. Obviously with metal you want to punch. Excuse me, I didn't sleep very well. You want to punch the center of the hole to keep the drill bit centered, then you want to do a pilot hole, then you want to move up from there. With plastic, as you can see, that was really easy, and it's freaking dumb. So these are Phillips head screws with 10mm, because everything's 10mm, nuts. So if you've lost all your 10mm sockets, you ain't gonna be doing it. And this one, there we go. All right. I'm gonna have to use my wrench. Probably gonna have to use my wrench. Come on, start for me. one. One thing I don't like about everything using freaking 10 millimeters is they're so small that if you're in a tight spot, sometimes getting them started is a pain. So last night I hurt myself going underneath this truck because I'm getting old. And now my back is kind of sore, you know, whatever. Come on, get in there. Ironically, well, I was trying to use the reflection off of my chrome steeps to... Alright. See if I can do this right. Oh yeah. Use a reflection off the chrome. Oh yeah, that's good. I like that placement. Alright. Cap on. Alright, so what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to put the other end. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Make sure I do like my placement, which I do. Some of my sealer juice. Don't have a lot of it left. So when I go to Lowe's, I'm gonna have to get some sealer. Some thread sealant. Oh yeah, that's good right there. Look at that. Get all the crud off of this here. Outer cap on, and then I'm gonna run my inner. Look at that right there. All right, now I'm gonna run some hoses. All right, so I gotta run hose from here to that front what do you call it, fitting that was up by the front of the tank, the one that I thought I was missing. So I'm gonna run it. I probably shouldn't have zip tied. I can always get more zip ties. See if I have enough here. Don't know if I will. I'm not a big fan of nylon tubing in general. I know it's used on a lot of stuff and it holds up really well, but it's kind of tough to work with. Should have just enough. Come on, creeper. All right. Then I'm gonna go like back here. Let's run it on the inside of compressor hose. We're gonna go over top of this body mount. And we're gonna go through, there's a nice convenient little hole. Make sure. Now we'll use that as a zip tie point. I'm not gonna run it through there because that's, oh, I pretty much have just enough. All right. Let's put the fitting on there. Then I need my flame creator. I'm gonna heat the tubing up a little bit. While it's still hot, you want to push it onto the fitting like that, and then start your nut. All right. Should have grabbed my zip ties. Clean it up while I'm here. All right, and then I'm gonna grab my, see if I get the right one. Yes. So these are 12 mil, and just snug it down. So while we're here, I'll show you what I did and what made me extremely mad and frustrated yesterday. I almost gave up on it and went inside, but I persevered and at least got that done. So I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. Like, I'm not cranking on this thing. That's how those strip out. So just go it until bottoms out, which is right there. Boom, so that's in. So I just gotta secure the lines and I gotta cut the other end to connect it. All right, let me show you the problems I had yesterday. Okay, so, all right, so we're running this, ran it over top of this body mount, and I'm gonna zip tie it to run it over here, past the compressor. I gotta cut those zip ties and I'm gonna run everything together there. I might run some wiring there too, over top of this body mount. This is the inline for the compressor. This is that 1/2 inch line that pissed me off, and I went over top of the tank, and it's gonna go right there. So I'm gonna find some points to zip tie it there. So, and I am rolling down the hill. So as you can see, this 1/2 inch line, I did that, and I don't like it. That goes over to the horns, because I wanted to run it either through this cross member or through this cross member, and I couldn't because I started into the cross members, and that's where it kinked. It made me mad. It basically ruined it, but it was so stiff that if you tried to run it like along here, like there's a DEF line that goes right on top of that cross member, I was like, oh, I'll zip tie it to that, and it was pulling on that DEF line like bad. So I did not want to break my DEF line. That's expensive. So I put it there for now, and later I will run something. I'll run a rubber line, replace this fitting with like a barb fitting, and run a rubber line and do the same thing on the other, or whatever. I just want to get it done. So that's how they mount. So that goes in there. I gotta cut the excess off of that. And the horns are wired all done up there. So we're in the last bit. So let me get this a little bit lower. Now it leaves that line a little bit exposed, but that's fine. I don't do any real extreme off-roading or anything, so I think that'll work. All right. Let's try to find a fitting for the intake. All right, yeah, spot. All right, well, a couple of developments. First of all, I sent a drill through my finger, so that was fun. So the wiring I've got relatively figured out. So here's my relay. So my relay, got a step stool. I need I'm being short. I'm gonna mount on this little clip here. I drilled this out a little bit. That's what my finger went through. Went all through my finger. I'm gonna kind of mount it like that. Yeah, right by that coolant line. It's kind of touching that coolant line, but I could do it like that. And then power, and for the relay I can go straight to one of these little grounds. Then I just gotta find a ground for the compressor. Which I think I'm gonna use that bolt for the step. Take some paint off of the mount so it has a good ground. And then the pressure switch is going to go to the auxiliary switch, and then obviously the solenoid is going to go to the pressure switch. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. Let's see if I have room in my other box. That's Goliath. Let's say hi real quick. See, they're still out there, and you see some of my other cars. Again, I'm gonna clean up my junk. Goliath. 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 Rebel. So here's some more of my cars there. Got another van and 412 Vanagon, another Mercor. There's a green Mercor back there. There's a red Jetta TDI. There's a white Jetta TDI. And then Super Beetle, Gia, and a 68 Beetle. Goliath! Rebel! There they are. What? That's Mr. Panda. Mr. Goliath. Hi, Goliath. Hi, buddy. There's Mr. Rebel. They're all siblings. I heard ya. Really? 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 All right, go be good. Go on, go be good. Go on. So those two wear muzzles because they play really rough. Goliath likes to headbutt his brother, Rebel. And then Rebel, when Rebel's had enough, he lets him know. Hardcore. So we muzzle them when they're together. That way they can play whenever they want. And we don't have to break up dog fights. So they're not violent. They're just, I guess, not really mean to each other, but when they've had enough, they've had enough. That's how they work. All right, so what we got here? So so I'm falling. 30 goes to the compressor. 87 comes from the battery. 86 goes to ground, and 85 goes to the pressure switch. So my battery died again, but I get a chance to see another one of my pups. Fufar! 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 Hi, this is Forrest. Say hi, everybody, Farfars. Hi, Fufar! How you doing, buddy? Being a good boy? Good boy. Alright, well, he's peeing. So, you've seen in this video, or videos, you have seen 4 out of the 6 we have. You haven't seen Mommy and Daddy yet. So, I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to show them or not. But so anyway, so when the camera died, I put this on and heat shrinked it. It's just a crimp connector. That's going to go from the battery to the relay, and then the rest of it's going to go from the relay to the hooser, the what's-a-hooser, the compressor. So I'm not going to attach it. I'm going to kind of get it situated. So it's gonna go like here, and I'll give it a cut about, so do a little extra, we'll do about there. Alright. Got my spade connector and my wire. Tight, but it will work. And use my improvised crimpers. Went through a bunch of spades connectors, but I'll find some more. So you're supposed to use, again, a heat gun or whatever, but I don't have one, so use my trusty lighter. All right, there we go. Good to go. So there's our lead-in wire. ground wire, which goes to 86. That's going to go to right one of these posts here. Okay. All right. I can cut it and bend it a little bit, 'cause that's what I want to do. Just have it go right here. And it's just too small. Alright, so what I did was I kind of cut the end, kind of make it into a U shape. The way it'll sit underneath of that nut on the ground. So that's good. Two of these, itty witty bitty ground wire, black wire. It's 18 gauge. The other one was 12. Trying to do this without cutting through everything. Through all the strands. There we go. All right. So we'll put a heat shrink. Oh, you ain't looking at anything. Cool. Okay, so I've got the wire, power wire that's going to go from the battery to the relay done, which has a barrel type inline fuse in it, and now I'm doing the ground wire. It's going to go to the relay. So I'm not using the correct tool, but this is what I got. That's too far forward. I should probably go get my vice grips and do this. Those. Oh, this shrinky wrappy, too small. So it's gonna have to go with a big shrink wrap. And since I am the king of improper tools today, an improper technique, shrinky dinky this. This isn't going to shrink completely. Ow! Why am I'm all about hurting myself today, apparently. So, since I'm rednectifying today, let's see if I can do this. Alright. That's right, double shrink wrap. Don't do this. This is not recommended. But I'm trying to get this freaking thing done. Use the proper tools. There we go. That's much better. So the hard part with this thin gauge wire is it's really easy to melt it. All right. Let's see if I can do this end. See if it'll fit. It will not. So I'll have to double shrink wrap it. All right, so length. Having extra, go right there. Again, wrong tool for the yob, but that's what I got. Alright, that one clipped pretty good. So we will fit this over. Oh yeah. Just burly. Again, heat gun, especially for these little small ones. You won't get the burnt marks like I'm getting because I'm using a lighter. Alright, so what I've made up so far is this wire and this wire. So then we need an 18 gauge to go to the pressure switch, and then that will come back up to my thingy. And then we need to take the wire to the compressor. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the wires that are going to go down the frame rail together, which is this power wire and then these two leads for one for the switch. Actually, I should do different colors. Let's do yellow and purple. Yeah, we'll do that. Yellow and purple. So one will be for switch to come up, the other one will be for the switch to go back down. So I'm going to wrap them in electrical tape to keep them together. And then I'm going to put them into this split loom. I think I got it installed properly. You can hear the compressor filling the tank. So we'll see what happens. Put you down over here. Sorry I didn't film it. The camera was getting really hot. It was draining battery way too fast. So, all right, I'll go over this real quick till she responds. Okay, so I ran the wire in the loom, and the loom comes through. There's the relay. I just put the intake up here. I'm gonna move that later. Power wire. This is the signal wire for on and off. That is these. I'll trim these, but that runs across in its own loom. That's one wire. And the purple one here is the signal wire for the compressor. This is the signal wire for the horns, and they're wired into these two other color wires that go into this connector here. Now that I pissed the whole neighborhood off, which is great, that's what I wanted. Okay, so this is the kit that Ram gives you when you have those auxiliary switches. So you see, it's a little better look. So you see these two connectors, right? Those are what's under the dash. That's what those two wires are plugged into. You got one auxiliaries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 that can also be run as a PTO for like a hydraulic pump or something like that. Then you have a ground and you have a pass-through. So a pass-through is like you're putting a sensor or something on the truck and it goes to a gauge or whatever. Literally this goes straight through to another wire inside the cab, so you can just connect to it. It doesn't actually, like, it's not switched or anything like that. I mean, it might be ignition switched, but I don't know yet. So all I had to do was I took this gray one off and I removed the two green dust caps, which the wires you saw, if you saw the other, when I showed them, they have their own little weather seals. So I took these two out with some needle nose, and then you gotta pry up on this little tab and this little white piece. There was an ant, scared the crap out of me. This little white piece slides up like towards you when you're looking at it, and then you can slide them in, and then once you get them in, you hear them click. It's an audible click. Then you push the white piece back in, which locks it permanently, and until you unlock it and all that. So looks similar to this, with the wire going into this. The seal sits a little bit in there, which is fine. And then you can plug it in and you can program the features, which I'll show here in a minute once I clean everything up. So I'll show you on this side, since my creeper's already over here, which I should have used yesterday, but I was being stubborn and didn't use the creeper, and now my back is sore from laying on the concrete. All right, so here is the solenoid switch, and this yellow wire in this conduit is what's going up to the switch on in the dash. And then this is, I didn't use black because I didn't have a black long enough, but this is the ground, and that literally just grounds to that chassis loom ground right there. So I mean, as you heard, they're nice and loud. This is the big horn, so I'm still going in the little horn, so they're wire push connectors. This goes to the small one, which is back there, and then this T. So this fitting is supposed to be like this. This is what was cross-threaded. So what I have here is I have a 1/4 inch to a barb fitting. So because this isn't under constant pressure, you know, it shouldn't be an issue with leakage because it's not under constant pressure. I will change this over. Klienn maybe I can get them to send me a new one because I didn't cross thread it, was taking it off. You don't cross thread taking it off. So, you know, there's that there. And then, so I'll replace it. Or I might see how this does, but I'm still gonna get the replacement so I can throw it on there. Solenoid's a little loose-ish, but I think it's because of me messing with this pipe. So this pipe does go all the way across, and again, don't like that. I'm gonna change that, but for right now, it will work. All right. Move myself over. Oy vey, before I run out of battery. Okay. All right. So here's where that 1/2 inch comes across, and you see I got the wiring. I got some wiring loom, which has the power wire for the compressor, which everything is all bundled up here. Right there is the, it's kind of hard to see, but is the I don't know where I put my flashlight's over there. Let me get my flashlight. All right. So as you can see, I have wiring loom, the tube that's going from the outlet of the compressor to the inlet of the tank. That clear one is the intake, which I routed up to the hood area, which will change. And of course, still going back here, move myself back. Got my wiring all secured. I ran this. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. To this as a ground, and there's the intake for the compressor. See if the compressor got hot at all. It's a little warm, but not bad. So I'm gonna find a better place. So I wanted to go through here. This is the little storage bin, but I couldn't do that. So that's fine. I'm trying to minimize how much I'm modifying this. All right. So this is the outlet for the auxiliary hose, pressure switch, which obviously works. So the yellow is going to the relay underneath the hood. The purple is the switch from the dash and from the auxiliary, and of course tube. And I routed it up through here, through along some existing wiring going up inside the wheel well, so it doesn't have any issues. I did the same thing on the other side. I don't hear any leaks, which is good. Verbal shut up. Yeah, I don't hear any leaks. So I will check fasteners and stuff in a week or two. See if they're still tight. Whoa. Okay, all right. So I put my hat back on now. I'm not crawling around. Okay, so fit and finish, I would say I give it a, I don't know, I give it a probably an 8 out of 10, because of that tank, those two outlets being, you know, it being welded wrong and then being sideways. But it's something I got around, obviously. That's no big problem. That's nothing major. And for assembly, yeah, it got frustrating. The biggest frustrating thing was the 1/2 inch nylon tube, because it did not want to work with me. and maybe a softer nylon, maybe like a DOT line or a regular airline hose, okay, that might be fine. So if you're looking into this, you might want to do that. That's completely up to you. And they're 1/2-inch pipe fit or pipe thread fittings. The wiring was kind of a pain. That's why my camera started to overheat, and I didn't film all of that because the wiring wasn't a pain because it was hard. The wiring was a pain because I'm a little anal. So I wanted them run in loom, which took a while, and then I wanted it routed good, cleanly, no problems. You know, that's what I wanted. So I mean, you could just throw the wiring together and you could have it wired in 10-20 minutes, no big problem. But I am definitely picky. I'm definitely gonna be picky with this truck. So what I'm gonna do now is I am going to clean up the zip ties. I'll put my tools away, and then I'm gonna change. Oh, I want to show you change the settings before it dies. Okay. So what you need to do is you get in the truck. Turn the ignition on. Okay. So it's an accessory on. So you go down here to. Actually, let's go up. There we go. And I don't know how well you can see that. Do it before this dies. Okay. So go to settings 2, commercial settings, and your pin. I haven't changed it yet. It's still 0000 from the factory. Ooh, didn't know that was still on. All right. So if you bought this secondhand, you might need to find out what the pin is, or take it to the dealer, and they could probably reset it. And then you go into aux switches. Okay, aux 1. So that is my horn button. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit aux 1, and then I'm gonna click type. So latching means you click it, it stays on until you click it again. So because it's a horn, I'm gonna change that to momentary. So now it's momentary. So as soon as I let off on it, it will stop. And then I'm gonna go to power source. So it's on battery. So that means the ignition doesn't have to be on for the battery to for it to work. So we're gonna save that. Now what you can also do is you can go in and last state. So if it's ignition, which we'll change here, I'll explain that in a second. Aux 2, this is the compressor itself. So type, we're gonna change that. It's gonna stay latching. Okay, stay latching. And then we're gonna go down to power source, and that's gonna go to ignition. So that means that the truck has to be on or running for it to run. I don't want it to run the battery down, so that's gonna say it. And last state. I don't know why it says, maybe because I didn't cycle it yet, but last state would be, it would stay on if I left it on, it would come back on. So that's how you change it. So now, so if I turn the truck off, right, that doesn't work, but that does. Okay. All right, and that is really loud. I like it. And you see it was momentary. So there you go. So then if I turn the ignition on, right, now it turns the compressor on. And it still works. So there you go. So that's kind of how it's gonna work. So see if I can do it now. So let me set up aux 2. Oops, sorry. Hit the wrong button. Last state. Okay, now that I've cycled it. So last state, I'm gonna turn it to on. So that means that when I turn the ignition off, this is gonna turn off, But when I start the truck back up again, okay, or turn the ignition on, that's gonna come back on again. We'll do that. So ready, off, and now it comes back on when I turn the ignition back on. So that, and you can do that for all of these. You can do that for any set. So I've got my horn and I got my my compressor. So that's it's pretty good. Yeah, it was a pain. I'm not gonna deny that. It was. It's not a cheap kit. This isn't a $600 horn kit or a $40 horn kit from AutoZone or whatever. This kit for this truck cost $1,400 and $1,469. Came with everything you saw, obviously, except for that one fitting. I had to buy literally everything else except for the small zip ties. It came with that for the wiring, but the big zip ties were mine. But it says in the directions that you might want to provide your own zip ties or whatever. So pretty much everything, and that clear tubing I got from Lowe's, obviously. Everything else you saw that I installed, that all came in the kit. So for $1,400, I mean, you're getting pretty good. That's laser cut steel, powder coated. The powder coating kind of caused an issue with a couple of the mounting bolts, just because they were in the threads. But I got through that. That's no problem. You just have to put a little bit of force, clean them out. You could use a thread chaser and chase them out. I'm letting this fill back up so it turns back off, and then I'm gonna shut the truck off so it stops beeping at you. So the biggest thing I would say would be planning out what you're doing. So planning out the intake, planning out your wiring. If you do that ahead of time, I think that would make it a lot easier. I didn't do that. I kind of just went through. So this is the beta test. So basically, this kit changed for the new body style for the 2021. I guess they changed the frame around a little bit. So it changed. There we go. So that's why this is a beta test. So this kit technically isn't in production yet. You can get it for the 14 to 18s HDs, but you can't get it for the 19 and up. So this is a beta test. There's about 24 of us, apparently, according to my email I got from them, that are testing this right now. So we're gonna be I'm gonna be taking pictures and videos, and I'm gonna send it to them and be like, hey man, this is the problems I encountered on install. This is what didn't really fit right. This is, stuff like that. So I'm gonna tell them about that intake and be like, yeah, you guys didn't really provide a lot of, hose for that. So to mount it somewhere that's out of the way and you're not cutting into the truck, I had to get my own hose, and don't use that crappy crappy half-inch stuff. Use something a little bit softer, a little bit easier to handle. Wiring was pretty good. Wiring was straightforward. Came with a relay. Came with everything I needed. Their connectors were kind of meh, but they were typical connectors. And then that fitting. So that fitting is probably just a fluke. Someone who was putting the horns together for their universal kits, he probably assembled 400 horns that day, and he just put it on. So I'm not really mad at them, but if they give me the new fitting, I have no problem with that. So other than that, I mean, I had no real issues with the kit. I'm gonna see how it works out, and obviously it's nice and loud. It is freaking loud. Yeah, this is, yeah. When their motto says too loud, too bad, yeah, it's definitely on the too loud scale. I love it. So we'll see how it holds up. Oh, and the mounting bolts for the compressor. So I'll tell them about that. So I'll do some updates around this. I post some pictures and video of it, like driving by and all sorts of things like that. So thanks for joining me on this frustrating, painful, but I think worthwhile install. So I've been waiting on it for a while, and I'm glad it finally came. I'm glad I got it in. Glad I got it in before I had to go to work, and I definitely think it'll be good. So it'll work out. So again, thanks. It's Big Rig Operator. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing here. And, you know, got any questions or anything, go ahead and drop them in the comments. You know, whatever you got. So thanks. You guys have a good